Good morning. Let's see if this will spool. I'm Stacy. This is Walking in My Shoes, and we are loving my veteran. Let me get some coffee. Good morning, everyone. Try this again now that it's all caught up. Good morning. I'm Stacy. This is Walking in My Shoes, and we are loving my veteran this morning. It's time for our wonderful little Walking in My Shoes for Thursday. Let me just give you some heads up on what's going on. If you've not signed up for the newsletter, please do so. I did post a copy online this week on the Facebook pages, and I may do next week's, but the only way to get the newsletter from now on is going to be to go to the website, www.lovingmyveteran.com, and subscribe, and you'll get the newsletter. This week's newsletter was packed full of information about PTSD and myths and what your veteran wants you to know. And next week, there's more on the medications that we use to treat it or that are used to treat it and what to do with that. So all that is on the newsletter as well, as long as what we as caregivers would like you to know. So that's on there. Let's Talk is tonight, 7 p.m. Online support, Zoom, great place to be. We're going to talk about living with PTSD. What is it like to live with it? What is it like as the veteran side to live with it? What is it like from the caregiver side to be living with it? What is it like to live with PTSD? So we're going to talk about that tonight on Let's Talk. Bring your questions, bring your victories, bring your stories. But that's going to be the topic tonight on Let's Talk, so we can get through that. And I wanted to get that handled, and we'll get that done tonight on Zoom. If you have not already listened to Behind the Service podcast this week, please do so. They're getting ready to celebrate their 1-year birthday later this month, so we want to check that out with them as well. All right, so let's talk about resentment. I know that I turned the phone off here. Let me get my little happy self where I can see on both sides, because this and I don't like each other, which we already know, and I should have already done this. We're going to talk about resentment. I was asked in the group to talk about resentment, and I think that's where we need to be today, is what is resentment? We tend to get it so easy. It's just one of those things that we can do here. Oh, now I get to turn this down. Good morning, Sarah Kim. So resentment is something that we all kind of experience or kind of feel at times. So I want to talk about resentment, what it is, how do we get it, how do we get rid of it, and how do we fix that? So resentment, the definition of resentment is bitterness at a feeling of being treated unfairly. Okay, resentment is defined as bitterness at being treated unfairly. What are the causes of resentment? There's no one cause. It's basically a sense of feeling like you have been mistreated or wronged. So resentment is not something somebody else gives you. Resentment is something that we take upon ourselves. Resentment is something we take upon ourselves. So it is important that we understand the difference between, that's us. That's something we do. That we do. It's accumulated. You're right. It is a lot of feeling of that sense. So when we feel we've been wronged or treated unfairly, we build up resentment. We do that in multiple places. We do that at home. We can do that at work. We can do that as a parent. We can do that as a friend. You feel this uncanny, overwhelming sense of resentment. And what it comes from is take the fact that you're at work and your boss just dumps stuff all over your desk to do, and you're doing the job of 3 people, and then they come in and they hire somebody above you that now is doing the work you were doing part of, and they're paying them more money. Would you expect to feel resentful in that situation? Absolutely. Absolutely. I think about my son, he was at work and he's been the go-to supervisor. If He's not a supervisor, but if the supervisor went on vacation, he was the supervisor, the acting supervisor. If they had a meeting, he was the acting supervisor. If they had anything, he was the acting supervisor. So their supervisor that they have is going on to another place in the company, and so there's a supervisor's position open. So my son goes and he applies for it. And this is what he's told. Well, we're going to bring somebody in probably from outside because we know that we don't have anybody in the crew who can step up to be the supervisor when they're gone, and you can fulfill that role. So there's resentment there. When that next supervisor comes into being, he could very well have resentment to that next supervisor. I know that it's happened with me at work many, many times. You resent things. You do stuff and you create plans, or good morning, Erica. You do all this stuff, and what happens is then somebody else gets the job and you become resentful. Well, it happens with our veterans. It happens with us living in this environment. How often do we take things upon ourselves? We already know that if you want to ask your veteran to do something, be clear and be concise. Right? A specific task. And I'll give you an example. We got some stuff that we got to burn today. And I said, okay, hey, it's supposed to rain later this afternoon. Maybe this morning might be a good time to burn the boxes. Now, that doesn't mean he won't burn them. Okay, that's not what I'm saying. But I did not clearly say, babe, it's supposed to rain later this afternoon. Why don't we go ahead and get the boxes burned this morning? Okay? And so when he doesn't do it, and I'm not saying he won't, but I'm going to give you an example, is like if he wouldn't do it, I would get resentful. I would get angry. I would be like, well, I mentioned that the boxes needed to be burned. You didn't do it. So now I'm resentful. And that happens. That happens in our lives. We take that resentment and we take this not doing things and we take it inside of us, and it becomes resentment. Over time, it becomes resentment. When you're the one who is scheduling the appointments for the VA, and you're scheduling them all out, and you're making them, and your veteran says, hey, we need to go here, we need to go there, and then you are the one who is helping administer the medications in certain circumstances. You may be the one administering medications. Or they go to their counselor, and we all know that a lot of the thing is, because it's a typical answer to people, is, how are you doing? Oh, I'm doing great. You're not doing great, but you say that to your counselor. So as the spouse, the partner, the caregiver, we want to be heard, but a lot of times we'll go into the VA and they're like, nope, we can't talk to you. And you get resentful. Not at your veteran, but, we may take it out on them. But we're like, oh, whoa. We're the ones who are here every day. You may see them an hour a week. We see them 167 hours. So to include me in their care is important. And when you don't do that, we build up a resentment. And because we feel like we've been wronged. If it's okay for me to be that person who takes care of them all this period of time, and I'm supposed to be the one who watches the medication, and I'm supposed to be the one who watches for side effects, because they're supposed to educate you on that, but that's a whole nother topic, and you're not included, you can easily build up resentment. Massive resentment. That's what resentment is. It is when you feel you have been wronged. So, again, let's go back to the house situation. So, we're at the house. Veteran's playing his little video game. And I'm not picking on people who play video games, but that's one of the number one things we hear, is that he's disengaged and he's playing a video game or on his computer or whatever his or her, whatever may be the reason that they're doing something else, whether it's watching TV or hanging out in the shop or doing whatever, and you've got laundry that's stacked up so high that you don't have no more clean drawers, and dinner's got to be fixed, and the floor could stand to be vacuumed, and you feel this overwhelming sense of I have all this to do, and they're sitting there oblivious. And can I just say that that is not a PTSD thing? I think that's a man thing, but okay, we'll just leave it at that. But they're sitting there, and so you get resentful because you have to get the laundry done and do the dishes and vacuum the floor and take care of the house. So all of these things you become resentful for because you'd really like to spend 5 minutes sitting on the couch. I mean, that becomes the normal and the resentment feeling. But resentment is only something that we create. We create that resentment because it is bitterness for us feeling we've been treated unfairly. There is no one cause for resentment. It is a sense of being mistreated or wronged. So who creates the resentment? We do. How do we create the resentment? Because we don't communicate. That's how you're going to learn to overcome resentment, is let things go. The longer you keep it all in, the more resentful you become. The longer you keep it all in, the more resentful you become. It's just one of those things. It happens. It is the way it works. The longer you keep it all in. So you can't keep all this stuff in. You can't keep all these wrongs in. You can't start doing that. When you do that, you become resentful. So now how are we going to deal with resentment? How are we going to deal with resentment? Go back to what we talked about in the basic serenity prayer. You can only change what you can change. Right? There are some things that are out of your control. You can't change anybody else. You can't change the fact that you have appointments. You can't change the fact that life goes on. You can't change the fact that occasionally the laundry has to be done because there's no more clean drawers in your dresser. Right? Those are things that, except the things that I cannot change. Those are just things you're going to have. A house does not clean itself, and everyone in the house should be capable in their capacity be part of cleaning it. Yeah, I agree. But the laundry doesn't do itself, right? I mean, that's something that we can take it upon ourselves to make it out of our control. Well, the laundry's stacked up. You can take it upon yourself. The laundry is all stacked up, and I've got to be the one to do it. Is that true? Can you, if you've got kids that are of teenage size, or well, my kids wash clothes, they could separate clothes better than anybody. But is that true? Or can you go into your child and say, hey, there's laundry that needs to be done. They're already sorted darks and whites, or however you do your laundry. I need you to put them, this communication now, whether you're talking to your child, whether you're talking to your spouse, whether you're talking to whomever, the laundry is already separated. I need you to put the laundry in the washer. And if you're not going to move it if you are not going to move it to the dryer, be clear on that. And when it's done, put it in the dryer. If you don't and you're not clear on that, your laundry may stay in the washer for another week till you realize you still don't have clean drawers. That's how you overcome that resentment about the laundry. Because you may not be able to control the fact that you have dirty clothes, but you can control the fact that somebody's not helping you. Okay? Girl, we've all done that, Stacey. So don't feel like you set yourself up to fail. You started the relationship out doing and doing and doing for him, right? But that is not setting yourself up to fail. That is just what happened. So now that we have what happens, you just slowly take this path and start working through it, one thing at a time. We're going to talk about that tomorrow, that sense of being overwhelmed. How do you go from being overwhelmed to being functional? There's a lot that you have to learn. And it's not all our veteran. Yes, PTSD sucks. There is no doubt about it. Yes, we get tired of them getting trapped in their head. Absolutely. Yes, we get tired of the triggers. Yes, I'd like to go to a 4th of July celebration. Yes, I'd like to do this. Yes, I'd like to go shopping and spend the whole day just randomly doing stuff that doesn't matter. Okay? There. Melissa's writing 1 or 2 tasks on the whiteboard that he needs to get done before she gets home from work. And it's clear communication. And the only time she can be resentful is when he doesn't do what's on the list. She can feel overwhelmed and angry. But then she needs to address that and not let it build up as resentment. Because we do that. I want to go all these places. I do. There are times that I just want to go somewhere and not have to worry. I say this a lot. Can we just go 24 hours without something triggering somebody? Whether it's me or whether it's him. Can we just go 24 hours with normal? Well, there is no normal, and no, you can't. So get over that theory. It doesn't work. But when you learn that mindset of communicating that little bit and being clear, then you're no longer resentful. Don't be resentful. Am I angry at PTSD? Absolutely. Do I like it? Absolutely not. Do I get sick and tired of it? Yes. It is one of those things. He has it. I have it. But you know what? We're learning to live with it. You're learning to put it in its proper place in your life. And I'm going to tell you right now, the proper place for PTSD in your life is not the center of your world. Because when you get that and it becomes the center of your world, you develop resentment. And your resentment is misguided. It's not guided to the PTSD. It's guided to them. You have to stop making it the center of your world. Are there parameters because everybody's PTSD is different that they can live with and that they can't live with? Yes. There are those parameters. There are those things that we have that we can live with and can't live with, and that he can do and that he can't do. And that is a choice we make in learning to love each other together. But when you physically cannot do something, or emotionally cannot do something because it is a real issue, you can't develop resentment for that. You need to let that go. And you must not become a micromanager. Y'all, they don't need another mother. When you micromanage them, and you treat them like a 2-year-old, their reaction is going to be that of a 2-year-old. So let me just reiterate what I just said. When you micromanage and you use verbiage like, well, today we need to do this, this, and this. And you need to do this. And if you don't, we're not going to do this. Stop. They're not 2. They're an adult. They live in your house with you. They live in the house with you. They are an adult. When we wonder why we get childhood-like behavior, we get childlike behavior because we treat them like a child. So why we have resentment, so do they. If all of a sudden every bit of your adultness was taken away from you. If you woke up and all of a sudden you couldn't do the things you used to do, you become resentful. Because I'm telling you, they may not show empathy and they may not see that some of their stuff is hurtful, but I promise you they know down deep it is hurtful, and they may not necessarily be able to control that. But it may also be the only way they have of firing back when you treat them like they're two. Some of the most hurtful things I have ever been told in my life came from my children when they were toddlers. You know what it's like to have this little bitty, sweet, little blue-eyed, blonde-haired little boy who's just adorable, standing in the middle of the mall, stomping his feet, saying, "I hate you," and you, with conviction that he means it? Those are some of the most hateful words I've ever heard, and they came out of the mouth of my toddler child. And then we wonder why we get toddler-like reactions because we're treating like a toddler. See, it's a cycle. It's a cycle. It's a circle. Let me use Stephanie's words. It's a hamster wheel. It is all of these things. Yes, it does. Those words hurt us really bad. When our child says it, when our spouse says it, when our parents say it, when people at work say, "I don't like what you're doing." When people say, "I want to hang out with them," I don't, whatever. It's hurtful. But has it ever dawned on you that maybe, just maybe, you're only getting back what you've given? So when this resentment builds up, this resentment is your sense of being mistreated or wrong. So if you don't want resentment in your life, then change the way you react to actions. Now, I'm not saying that what they're doing doesn't cause some of this resentment, because it does. And I'm not saying you don't have a right to feel resentment, because you do. But to wallow in it and let resentment control your life, you're going to be one miserable human forever. That's how it works. That's how it works. So how do you let go of the resentment? You sit back for a minute. You take a deep breath. And it doesn't matter where you are in your journey. So let me say this again. I want you to sit back. I want you to take a deep breath. And I want you to remember, it does not matter where you are in your journey. Okay? What you think? I know, I do, and I feel like I'm following. First of all, let's have a long talk about failure, because this is going to be a big step in this, in our resentment. We tend to take things personally, right? We tend to take things personally. When something doesn't work, it is not failure. Failure is allowing it to go on without making any changes. Does it work every single time? Absolutely not. But when you sit there and you allow stuff to go on in your life, regardless of what it is, and it continues to go on, and you don't address it because you're ignoring it, that is when failure becomes an issue. But failing at something, when you are attempting to make a change, failing at something when you are attempting to make a change is a step in the right direction. And if this doesn't work, then we find something that does, and it is still forward progress. So we have to get past that, because that's all part of this resentment. When you feel like you're failing, Jen, when you feel like you're failing, you create and get resentful. It happens. Because as humans, our nature is to not be wrong. We want self-satisfaction. We want personal satisfaction. We get it from the time we are little. It is something that we want from the time we are born. New baby, they want to eat, feel full, and have a clean diaper. Okay? But that is their self-satisfaction. They don't want a wet butt, and they don't want to be hungry.
Sounds like me.
I know. But that is your sense of what we want. We want this sense of self-satisfaction. So we strive for that. But we have to realize that sometimes when we are not getting what we want, we can become resentful. And yes, Nakia, you're right. Communication comes in many forms. It's either productive or it's destructive. And timeouts are not just for toddlers. It's an adult thing just as well. It is. You have to take your own time out. You have to take a deep breath. You have to take a time and walk away. You have to reassess your situation. Remember, you can't change other people. You change how you react to other people. And when you react to other people in a more positive manner, they will start to react to that and respond to that same thing. Negativity loves negativity. Okay, it happens. It's the way it works. Negativity breeds negativity. I mean, you watch the news that is slap full of rioters and all this other nonsense that goes on a daily basis. It's not one person in there. It starts with one person. One person gets mad. One person argues. One person says, we're not standing for this. Then the next person comes. Now you got a bunch of pissed off people. And now they're not even realizing what they're pissed off about. They're just pissed off. So the next thing you know, store windows are getting broken. Buildings are getting spray painted. Things are caught on fire. But they don't even remember what they're pissed off about to begin with, because they're just pissed off because everybody else is pissed off. That's how fast negativity breeds. So we start out our day in our resentment mode. Same way happens. You get up. You realize that you had a bad day yesterday. You realize that you have a lot to do today. You realize that there may not have been help yesterday, whether it was from work, whether it was from home, whether it was from your spouse. Doesn't matter who. Now you've got all this resentment built up, or because you took a day for you, or a few hours for you, and took downtime. Now all this resentment is starting to build up, and this anger is starting to build up, and now you are just looking for more negativity, because negativity breeds negativity. And when you're in that resentful, negative mindset, all you do is suck in more. And when you suck in more negativity, and when you suck in more resentment, the resentment never seems to go away. The resentment never seems to go away. So you have to figure out, where's your resentment coming from. Do the things that you can do. And you can do that, Stephanie. I promise you can make a positive environment with a blended family and a vet. It is a one step at a time process. This is not an overnight fix, but I'm going to tell you, the first person you can fix, the easiest fix in the entire situation, the easiest fix in the whole situation is accept the things I cannot change. Change the things you can. You may not be able to change him. You got to accept that. You may not be able to change the environment. You have to accept that. But who can you change? You can change you. You can change your reaction. You can change the way you perceive things. You can change the way you do things. You can change the way you carry the baggage. The only person you can change is you. And changing your mindset is critical. If you wake up every single morning full of resentment and anger from the day before, you're going to be twice as resentful when you go to bed the next night. It's going to happen.
Or you're not going to sleep.
Because it all comes into you and what you are sucking in. So now you're more tired, you're more resentful, you're more angry. Let the resentment go, because resentment, again, is bitterness that we feel that we've been treated unfairly, right? Or a sense of being mistreated or wrong. Who can fix resentment? We can. We can fix resentment. We can stop being resentful. You can let it go. Start working on communication and boundaries one at a time, little bits, and you're going to find that life is so much better. That is why I encourage victory walls. Y'all think I'm crazy. Stephanie thought I was crazy when I told her to do a countdown. That was the best picture I ever saw, was him standing next to that countdown board. You know, when you start hanging up your victories and you start encouraging your victories and you start celebrating your wins and you look at those wins sitting up on your wall, those wins sitting on your wall in front of you, you can now say, crap, I had a really bad day yesterday, but look what I overcame in spite of it. Now what happens? Now what happens when you do that? Now you're looking at your victories and you're letting go of some of your anger and some of your resentment. Nakia found that when I changed me, he noticed and changed between the two of us beginning to happen. Absolutely. Absolutely. Number one way. When you start to celebrate your victories, you can hang them up. They're not just there. They're there for so many reasons. They're there so we know what we've accomplished when we feel down. They're there so that we see, and our veteran can see, what we've accomplished and done that are successes. They're there to uplift us, when we're feeling down. There are a lot of struggles going on, and we all have them. And Stephanie, I'm going to say this again about where y'all are at. I know you are struggling for the next however many days. We're down to what, 12?
12.
We're struggling for 12 days. You've got this solution sitting in front of you. And now you've got to wait that 12-day countdown that there's more going on. You got to worry about.
Be more positive about it. It's 11 and a wake up.
Yeah, 11 and a wake up, Carlson. You've got this countdown going on that you're going to the unknown. It's going to be tough. You're excited about it. So all these emotions are coming in that you're trying to process. All these emotions are coming in that he's trying to process. And you got to pack bags for everybody for the length of time you're going to be there. So you get this, you don't want to be resentful. You want to be excited. But you feel overwhelmed, so resentment kicks in the sense of overwhelmed, and leaving the kids. But what's going to happen is you're going to come back so much stronger. And so all of this negative that could be drowning you, flip it around and look at where you are now versus where you were. Are we getting an overnight change? Absolutely not. But are we on the final countdown to the change that is going to change your lives for better? Absolutely. And you celebrate every single one of those victories. And I promise you, while you're there, you need to call us, message me, because we'll pick a day and we'll drive up there and have a little Atlanta day, because I got a bunch of people who live up there, so we'll drive up there. I'm so excited. And I'm so excited for both of you. And besides, AJ said he let me go see Shepherd, so I want to go do that. I always have ulterior motives. And it wasn't even food-based, hon. I always pick my vacations on food. He'll tell you that.
Yeah.
Don't carry your resentments. Don't carry your resentments. Let your resentments go, because the only person who can let them go is you. They're not his resentments. They're not her resentments. They're not your kids' resentments. They're not your boss's resentments. Your resentment is you. You'll have plenty of your Loving My Veteran fam. We'll be there. We will be there. So excited. You're the only one who can let go of your resentments. So that's what I'm asking you today. I'm asking you to let go of your resentments. I'm a writer. I'm famous for it. Get yourself a piece of paper. Write down everything you resent. Ball that shit up and throw it in the trash. Burn it in a burn pit. I don't care what you do with it, but get the resentments out of your head. Clear your mind of these resentments. Look at your victories and celebrate those. That's right. The sea may billow white under the countdown, but the calm waters are on their way. They are. I'm so excited for y'all and so happy for y'all. So I'm going to let us go on this. Tomorrow we're going to talk about being overwhelmed, how to fix that sense of feeling overwhelmed, and that overwhelmed is something that we all do. We all get to. We all want to be managed. We see it all at one time, and how do you get to it? Because I'm telling you, Carl's sitting over here. He will say yes. I take on more every single day. I'm like, oh, just bring it here, just bring it here. And then I get this sense of overwhelmness and I can't get it past it. So we have to learn to get past that being overwhelmed.
Oh, I'll
I,
do it.
I
I'll take care of it.
He picks up my pieces, right?
Yeah.
He picks up my pieces of overwhelm. So that's what we're going to talk about that is how to deal with that sense of being overwhelmed. How do you start to work through that? How do you deal with this? So that's going to be tomorrow. Don't forget we have Let's Talk tonight, 7 p.m. Zoom. The link's already on the page. We are going to discuss. Take a nap today. Yeah, okay, fine. Fat chance of that.
That would be Nakia saying that.
That is Nakia saying that. We are going to talk about living with PTSD from all sides. What is it like for them living with PTSD? What is it like for us living with them, living with PTSD? And then we're going to add one more to it. What is it like when both of you have PTSD and you have to live together?
Welcome to our house.
So that's what we're going to talk about today. Bring your questions, bring your answers, bring your concerns, bring anything you want, your victories. But that's what we're going to focus on. This is PTSD Awareness Month. We are celebrating it. We are not looking at it as a bad month. We are celebrating this month. This is our month to let's overcome the stigmatisms involved in PTSD, the fact that we are successful at what we do, that we manage to make it work, and every one of those are victories, and we need to become the role models. Yes, we will see you guys at 7. We need to become the role models for these people who are struggling. Y'all are all doing it. You wouldn't be here if you're not doing it. I look at every single little victory that comes across us and what we have. The countdown board from Stephanie. Watching Haley and Joe do their thing together when we did the tribute. Watching Nick be part of that. Y'all, that's what we do. We are overcoming this. We are making it. We are the successes. We are the people who are living with PTSD, loving somebody with PTSD, and creating a happier life. That's what we're doing. We're doing it because we're a community that loves each other and uplifts each other, and we agree that it is okay to love our veteran. That's what it's about. And each other. So, I'm getting off of here. I've got tons to do. Yes, baby, without the VA. You don't even want to know. I am so ready for tonight. I'm so ready to hear more of Stephanie's success stories. I am so proud of you. Y'all have no idea how proud I am of that journey. So y'all just celebrate their victory. Their victory's been amazing. I'm Stacy. This has been Walking in My Shoes. We are loving my veteran. Y'all have a blessed day. Again, let's talk tonight. Don't forget that. And I will see you at 7 p.m. Eastern Time.